Everybody, I'm Dean Obeidallah, and welcome to today's Daily Dean, where if you give me a few minutes, we'll break down a big issue of the day in a way corporate media would never dare. And today's issue is about Donald Trump and him calling for the murder of 6 members of Congress. And yes, it's murder because there's no legal basis for executing them because you don't like what they're having to say. That's a homicide. If you do that, that's murder. That's what it is. Corporate media won't call it that. It is murder. What pissed off Donald Trump so much to call for the murder of Democratic members of Congress said on Tuesday they put out a video together, all 6 of them, all that serve in the military or intelligence community, simply reminding active members of our military do not obey illegal orders. Now, there's a reason why they did this, of course, because Donald Trump's use of our military to kill people off the coast of Venezuela is illegal. To remind people, since the first deadly attack in September by the Trump administration, there's been over 21 military strikes, killing more than 80 people. We don't even know the identity of these people. Were they in a boat coming to sell us drugs? I don't know. But they were still thousands of miles from us. They could have been interdicted and arrested by the Coast Guard. And if they were closer to the border and on closer to our land, then perhaps there's a justification because they were an imminent threat. But in this case, they were not. I don't care what reasons they fabricated. There is no legal justification to simply say these people in a boat, we don't know their identities, we don't know what's in the boat, that we're just going to say they are somehow armed combatants in a war that we're not even fighting, and we're going to extinguish their lives. We're going to exterminate them. The UN, a month ago, their High Commissioner on Human Rights, point blank said it was illegal what Trump is doing. He said, under international human rights law, the intentional use of lethal force is only permissible as a last resort against individuals who pose an imminent threat to life. That's a standard even for America, for our military. I spoke to Pam Keith, a former member of the Judge Advocate General, the military in the U.S. Navy. So that's the exact same rule we apply. And she also concluded there's no legal basis for ordering members of the military to kill people in fishing boats without knowing their identity, without sharing any intelligence. Do you want to know how many briefings by intelligence officers and intelligence agencies have been provided to our Congress since these military strikes began in September? Know the answer? Zero. Literally zero. They're making up stuff to kill people. So Donald Trump was outraged that these 6 members of Congress simply reminded the active duty members that you are not to obey an illegal order. Donald Trump was so angry by the video of these 6 Democrats, he posts on social media, it's seditious behavior, all caps, punishable by death, all caps. This is a reminder why Donald Trump still must be prosecuted for his crimes against our nation after the 2020 election, including inciting a terrorist attack on our capital, and now for these crimes against humanity. And just so it's clear, Venezuela is a signatory to the International Criminal Court. Crimes committed off their coast, in the water, even international water by them, are subject to International Criminal Court jurisdiction. So even though the United States is not a signatory, it doesn't matter. Venezuela is, and they can file a charge against Donald Trump and anybody else in the chain of command who is involved in giving orders to kill people on boats without any legal basis. So all of this is the conversation that needs to have in corporate media, but they're not going to have it. But we're going to have it. And it's important that you know that the military strikes, based on the evidence we have, are illegal under U.S. law and international law, that Donald Trump is not immune from prosecution just because the U.S. is not a signatory to the International Criminal Court, known as The Hague. Because Venezuela is, he can still be held accountable if they have the courage to bring charges against him. Third, Donald Trump is not calling for prosecuting Democrats. He's calling for murdering Democrats. That's the language that should be used. Thank you for tuning in to today's Daily Dean.